And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. Before we get started here, just a little bit of housekeeping. Please make sure that you're following me everywhere. Hit that link in my bio. Help me to grow this. We're currently at 21,000 on TikTok, which is where the growth is happening. If you can follow me anywhere on social media, help share this out. Help get people to hear the word about shaping success. Today we have a great guest. His name is Wolf K. He met him on TikTok. He is working on creating or building his second account, but he has this awesome thing that he does, and I'd love to just kind of share his story. So without further ado, here we go. Wolf, what's happening, man?
Not much. No ado, huh?
No ado. So, TikTok's been one of those things, and we talked about this, how it's been one of those growth things, and you started following me a little while ago, and then I started noticing, and this is how my brain works, is I start to notice people that come around me. Like, I feel like we end up surrounding ourselves with people, and TikTok's really good about grouping us with those types of people who have the same kind of content, who are building the same kind of platform. And I feel like it kind of meshed, and then I started seeing more and more from you, and then realizing that there's a lot more to you. So I wanted to share your story.
I appreciate that. And let me say thank you for the opportunity. And as you can tell, I got dressed up for the occasion. I'm wearing my nice shirt. And yeah, you're right. This is I think I followed you about 2 months ago because it wasn't too long after I restarted my account.
Uh-huh.
And I instantly, gravitated towards what you were trying to do. And it didn't hurt that we had some of the same mutual friends
Yeah.
on TikTok. So I thought it was a perfect, you know, reason to follow.
Yeah, and that's kind of the cool thing about that, right? Like I have these, like you have 20, I have 21,000 followers, but like I really only interact with like 100 of them. They're the 100 constant people who are kind of there. And then those people, when I start doing posts or whatever, I'm like, you need to follow this person because they are the people that are like me, and that's
Yeah.
what I love about it. And then that just keeps growing from there. And that's
Uh, well, on this second account, I've been very meticulous on. I'm not trying to grow the follower count. I am trying to grow the quality count.
yeah.
And so a lot of the people that are following me now, and I wouldn't say 100%, but easily 75% of the people that follow me now were people that followed me before and were engaging,
Uh-huh.
positive, um, know how to take a joke
Right.
because, my snark hits a little differently. But it's given me a renewed sense of what I'm doing here because TikTok for me in the beginning, you mentioned you started TikTok 2.5 years ago. Well, so did I. And I was just a watcher. I was
Uh-huh.
doing it because my kids and my wife at the time were doing it. And, it was a different app then, though.
Right.
I'm sure you noticed that now, and especially those of us who actually put out content.
Hmm.
Uh, things have changed a whole bunch. But I'm very happy with my 200. I don't even know where I'm at. I think I'm like 230. I don't even watch my follower count.
Yeah.
Those that get the message enjoy the message and let me know it. And that's how I keep going. So here
Yeah,
we
and
are.
that's it. I mean, like I said, I did the same thing, and you fall into this like, let's do these follow trains, let's get followers because it's all about getting followers, right? Well, the quality of
Right.
those followers are terrible, and I
Yeah.
don't
Not to mention
follow.
the bot counts and the shapely ladies with vowels for names.
Yep.
I love that.
Well, I went through and I started cleaning out. I'm like, I'm going back. I'm going to see who these people are, if they've made content, if they've done, and that's a daunting task once you've done these stupid follow trains and you've gotten a bunch of followers that way. And I
Yeah.
just started
Yep.
realizing that if someone follows me, I'm gonna go watch one of their videos or two of their videos, and if it brings me value, then I'm following them. But if not, just let that count
That's
rise
right.
that way because they can get
I
something
think it's
from me.
important you engage the new followers. And I don't want to follow people I'm not going to be personally invested in.
Right.
Um, that's not to say that they have to meet my standard for what I find interesting because it's a learning experience too. Um, for instance, I follow this person who they do electrical work. I'm petrified of electrical work.
Right.
Okay. My great grandfather would be hugely disappointed in me. He was one of the first 100 certified electricians in this country. And I'm sure he's looking down on me and going, what a shame. What an absolute shameful member of the family. He won't even touch, he's scared to touch electrical sockets. Um, for good reason. I smoke. Anyway, that's a whole another story. We don't. That's a
Got
podcast in and of itself, my
got
friend.
sparked one time, did you?
Right? Yeah. Still feel it. Honestly.
Oh,
The the opportunity to meet these people through online, and of course, my wide scale family is actually twofold. There's the sensible folks, which I'm sure you're familiar with,
pops.
and then there's the lumber snack nation. Well, Mac initially, because that's who I, kind of formed that initial
Okay.
bond with, and then Pops and I became close through that.
Yeah.
Um, and then Chris James of Naked and Afraid lore, which I followed him for 3 months interacting. He's like my brother from another mother. And we have been harassing each other for like 3 months before I even realized what Christopher James underscore NAA meant. I just thought, not Alcoholics Anonymous. And I was just rolling with it. Here's my buddy. I don't care. Come to find out, this man's been naked on TV, and I'm like, okay, amazing what you learn about people.
Right.
But the remarkable people just kind of, like you say, gravitate, and
Right.
especially if you keep that message out there. So I've enjoyed that part, and the new account allows me to be really discerning. I'm sure my follower count, mentioning all those that you purged, would be in the neighborhood of about 700 if I had to guess. I mean, kid you not, 3, 4 a day
Right.
since I signed back on, and I get maybe one or two new followers
Hmm.
a day from content. So easily twice as many as I've taken on. So I'm sure I'd be at 750, 800 if I leave those, voluptuous a explanation underscore whatever. So
Yeah, I go through there every day, and it's like I see who's following, and I make sure that I remove and block those ones. Like if you don't stay on top of it, because like I'm not going back 10,000 ago, but I make sure that I try and get those out of there because they're there.
absolutely,
There is like at least
absolutely.
out of the 4 that follow me a day, there's like one, maybe, but they're all
You get
it's
well. I'm jealous now. Now that you say you've got 75% real people, although they've gotten smart. Have you noticed this?
so that's the other
How
thing you
many
can't really tell.
exactly? How many of these shoe only accounts have you been getting?
Shoe only. I don't
You
know. I
haven't
haven't.
seen the ones where you go in and their entire video stock is one photo to music for 20 seconds of literally shoes.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. But I haven't paid
Uh,
attention to that either. I usually
it's
just
coming.
go. Yeah, I usually just go through and delete the. It's always an Asian lady, and she's got letters in the name, and
I've got several of those girlfriends, and they are going to make me rich, apparently.
exactly want to see my visit my WhatsApp.
Forex exchange.
Oh
It's
yeah,
Forex 5.
those
It's
are
advanced. Nobody knows this.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been through it all. Yeah,
I don't know how anyone's making any money on the crypto market right now. So if you're trying to tell me that you can make me thousands of dollars right now, and all I can see is it going down and whatever, I don't believe you.
well, exactly. I took out a Coinbase account about a year and a half ago, and I did real well for a while, and I didn't really invest in it because I don't know enough about crypto. So I was using their little freebies
Yep.
to build, um, and then hit a little bit of a rough patch. So I pulled a lot of money out. I think at one time I had like $250 in it, and that's from the freebies. I literally did not
Yeah.
put any extra money in there. I went in this morning, and I have $18 in there now. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
I'm floating.
I stopped. I did like a $25 a week um, investment, and I stopped doing it because I think I've lost $400, and I'm just like, if it ever comes back up, I'm just gonna leave what's there, and if it comes back up, then I'm gonna grab it.
Actually, in all seriousness, if Bitcoin drops down into the teens again, I'll probably put a static number in,
Hmm.
like 200, $300, because it will come back.
Right.
It will come back. Will it be that big jump it was in, 21? 20, whenever it was. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But it's still going to grow. I mean, it's an investment tool. The only thing that's going to take it under is if they find out the guy that created Dogecoin is some sort of, imposter and tries to buy Twitter or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny. Let's kind of backtrack a little bit. So, what do you do for a living besides TikTok? You had a farm, right? What
I
got you
did.
into
Well, I
TikTok?
do. Well, again, I started TikTok because my kids were going on and on about, viral videos. And I was like, it's pandemic. Why not?
Yep.
Get it downloaded and we'll take a look. And I was mildly intrigued and, ran across creators like, uh, well, Ronan GT and they call me Chris, which she had a different name at that time. And then the bearded brothers that were doing the Christmas beard
Right.
uh, challenge and all that stuff.
Yep.
And I mean, it was stupid. It killed time. It was a great way to um, death scroll for an hour when the weather was bad outside, or I was avoiding weeding or something like that. But I've been farming since 2008, and I actually come from a marketing background.
Okay.
In 2008, the bottom fell out of with the Great Recession,
Right.
and all of my clients were more local than national, so they didn't have the ability to absorb that damage.
Right.
And so I started looking at my property. It's not a big property; it's less than 2 acres, but mostly recoverable to put stuff on and grow from. And I thought, if nothing else, I can feed my family from this.
Yeah.
So I started, I'd always had kind of a fascination with growing stuff. I'd had a small garden for years. And I thought, this should be easy, just expand it. Yeah, this is part two of learning that Texas drought sucks
Yeah.
because the very first year I went into commercial business, we had a summer that was a bunch of very high 100-degree temperatures. And I learned, I pivoted, more water, but I didn't have a pandemic, inflation, all that good stuff.
Right.
So it started off rough, but we survived. And fast forward about 10 years, we're cruising along. And then 2020 hits,
Right.
and the pandemic really put some pressure on us. Had to move online, had to try and do more delivery and pickup. Masks were required and all that good stuff. And I respected the process at the time. Um, Mostly because when you're dealing with customers, you don't know what their affiliation is, you don't know what their proclivities towards
Right.
masks and all that stuff is. So better safe than sorry. And
Right.
I was fine with that because our family was, you know, my wife at the time was in nursing school,
Mm-hmm.
and they were going through it. And I'll tell you, uh, hearing the stories directly, I wasn't going to take any chances because I've got one small child, and he really didn't need to be exposed to it, and I wasn't sure I was immune from it at all.
Right.
So anyway, long story short, we kind of pivoted. Things didn't do so great, um, and then we get through the pandemic, and then this year starts off the year really nice. The spring, we had a really good start. Everything came up just beautifully, purring along. And then May hits. And starting in May, we got, well, actually late April, we started getting real close to 100 degrees. And I thought, this is summer one in Texas because we have 5 summers, each one progressively worse.
Yeah.
And then you have fall light and winter, and that's it.
Right.
And winter is even questionable as to whether it's summer. So uh,
That's terrible.
we started hitting those 100-degree temperatures pretty regularly in May. And just to let you know, yesterday was the first day that we hadn't been 98 degrees or hotter on this farm
That's crazy.
in 42 days. We have spent 40 of the past 41 days above 100. peaking at 114 degrees at least once, maybe more than often, because I wasn't. I keep my own records here on the farm for temperatures. We are a significant distance away from the official, weather station, and
Uh-huh.
they typically run, 3 to 7 degrees cooler than we do because
Yeah.
it's north of us and on the other side of the airport. And those people in town blow cold air, I'm sure, not hot air like everybody thinks. And so we were really struggling this summer. The drought was brutal and bad enough that I couldn't get anything to germinate for the fall. And so, yes, now I am starting to pivot to other things. Actually, it started in March or April because I could see the writing on the wall. And
So is it like a kind of like a boutique kind of farm that you just use? What do you grow and how do you distribute it? It's just people call and make orders, or
well, in typical salad hunter fashion, uh, nothing is ever as easy as just telling you what I do. I always
uh-huh.
have to kind of put my spin on it, right?
Uh-huh.
I like to tell people in the traditions of Hank Hill that I am a salad purveyor and salad accessories.
Yeah.
So we grow a lot of lettuce, a lot of greens, things that don't do really well in the heat. That's our primary.
Yeah,
Now
that
we do
burn
other things, of
fast.
course. Yeah, exactly. Well, and with inflation, we run all of our irrigation with electric, and energy costs is just, you
Right.
know, and I was having to run water every 4 hours through the night, including. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of power. And my first electric bill after the heat kicked in was about 490 bucks.
Jeez.
And I wasn't running water every day at that point.
Hmm.
So the writing was on the wall. The temperatures were starting to come up, but it wasn't so bad that I was running water every 12 hours, which is pretty typical. We run a heavier load at night, so the water soaks in, and then at 3 in the afternoon, we do a 5 minute cycle so that it cools the temperatures of the soil and keeps things from wilting. Or and purple lettuce, you've probably tasted bitter purple lettuce, right? Well, heat really sets that in.
Yeah.
It's like adding fire to a jalapeno, you know.
Right.
Um, it was at that point I started to recognize that this is going to be a difficult year, and started cutting back. And I tried to get the spring stuff to fulfill, but when the fall stuff, the late summer and fall stuff wasn't germinating, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to pan out the way it's supposed to. So we alternated then to um, bag programs on what we had left, and that did okay. I'm sure it would have done better if we could have, just kept it matriculating, but
Yeah.
it didn't pan out. So now I am shifting into other things, and among those things are the Nice brand, which comes from my old TikTok account, um, and will be expanding soon. And then working on a couple of other projects. One is called Dogged ID Media Services, which is
Uh-huh.
user generated content. And I've been really invested in trying to figure out how to present stories for advertisers and then have them pay me for it
Right.
without me being the influencer on it. It's their
Hmm.
stuff. And so that's starting to kind of build. Then working on this station head radio station where we host two shows right now, and I'm about to add a third, which I'm going to harass you about being a part of after we get off of here.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
Um, uh, One is called Sensible Coffee, which kind of blends in with my TikTok uh, bit, and then the other is called The Harvest. And The Harvest is we are going to be harvesting positive stories, positive ideas, and positive people to share with people who come in. And Station Head's a really good thing because it records the shows. It's all voice. Um, you know, face like this, I'm better on radio. My hair loves to be on screen. Johnny
I
has
was
come
gonna
to
say,
see us.
what'd you name him? I see your
Johnny.
posts all the
Actually, he
time.
wasn't named by me. That was a name given to him by Pops's wife,
Okay.
and she told me when we were talking one day. She says that's that one strand of hair, and they decided that they would call it Johnny. And Johnny's become more popular than me. I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
Um,
your profile picture was just that before, right? I feel
correct.
yeah, because I was like, when I first saw it, I'm like, who is this guy? Is this a mustache? What do we got going on here? And I had to figure out what it was, and then I got it.
Well, because of my ban and not knowing why I was banned, I decided I'd come back incognito, right?
Yeah,
And letting people that knew me and the people that were I was close to know who I was, and of course it started to build, and of course I started getting those, requests for we need more. And I'm
yeah,
like, fine, I'll risk it. And to be honest with you, if it gets banned this time,
you're
buy
done.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got better things to do in my
Well,
life.
you got there's
It's a
the thing
good
is
tool.
there's so many different avenues. I think the biggest thing with me, like right now, the reason why I was heavily vested in Instagram, and then it just kind of tapered off. I hit like 2,500 followers, and that was it. And I'm like, it's not growing, and so I stopped. I mean,
Yeah.
I could probably go back and spend more time on it now and get it, but it's just like I'm doing good where I'm at, and I need to do with what I'm doing, kind of thing.
Well, and Reels is a different animal.
Right.
Um, Reels makes me feel good because when I push something out, I'll see that my views are, 1,200 in about 15 minutes. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And then about 20 minutes after that, it's 1,400
Yeah.
and dead. And I don't think Instagram's got it figured out to make it worthwhile. And I do believe they do more push on business.
Hmm.
But I personally think that one of the great things about TikTok is that you can build your own personal brand, and
Yeah.
that sells your business and your service even more. So I'm a huge fan of TikTok's algorithm in that way. A lot of things about TikTok I'm not all that grateful for, like banning and suspensions and all that
Well,
garbage.
and they're changing all the
Um,
time. It's like you can get that one, like one in a million videos is going to get a ton of views, and the rest are going to get, two, 300.
right, exactly, and you never know which is which. And then you've got all the TikTok experts who are out here saying, "Well, just push this audio and you'll instantly have 12,000 views."
Right. Well, it's an experiment every single time I post something. Like, I mean, I post the inspirational stuff, but then you also have to try and get it to get you right, and so you have to do silly things. You have to do the filters. You have to do the. I mean, I get more views on like when the Megan Fox filter came out, and I was like, oh, I mean, you get views on this
Megan
stuff.
Fox,
Yeah,
yes.
it's like I got long eyelashes and blue eyes, so now people are gonna. It's it's just weird.
I hate filters because they treat me bad, especially
Yeah,
those filters of "What are you?" or this new one, this one recently, the Mash one from oh
yeah.
boy, I did that because of Pops, and we got identically the same thing, and
My friend
I was like,
Nikki
"No,
got
I'm
on there and
doomed."
she's like supposed to have Nikki. She's supposed to have 100
Right.
kids. I'm like, seriously, this is impossible. What are you like are you a dog or what? Because eight
Well,
kids at a
exactly. I saw
time. It's
somebody
like this is
post the effect
nuts.
of, is that 101 Dalmatians?
Yeah, right.
They're funny. I mean, they are. But then there was this guy the other day. He's a follower of mine, and I follow him back. And he posted one. It was perfect all the way through, and I was like, I demand a recount. I demand a recount. There is no way.
I
I have yet to see anybody post any of those where you're going, yeah, that's all me.
yeah.
That was garbage. I'm so
There are
mad
there
because it
are
never happens to me.
yeah. It doesn't happen the first time. So that's the thing. Like that person has looked through all the answers and they've hit it 100 times trying to get the one that they want. That's
Right.
exactly what
And
happened.
I'll be honest with you, I'd never do that.
Yeah,
But what's the point? That's not even any fun.
yeah,
If you're going to do it to where, you're just as shocked as everybody else. And that's why I've got a duet that I'm putting up this morning with Pops where uh, he did, actually, he was responding to one of my comments and he, put on one of those angel filters. And
yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it, but
I'll see it.
I've got a response today. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I'm pushing out all this other stuff, and then I've got a unique new project that I think is going to help people who are creators like yourself, like Pops, like some people that are in more of the serious stuff. And it's called Creatorade with a K,
Yeah.
and Kreatorade. The idea behind Creatorade is that creators can collaborate easier.
Hmm.
It's not it's not easy on places like Instagram or TikTok, YouTube Shorts is even worse as far as I can tell.
Right.
Um, you don't have that instant ability to find people in your niche. You don't have that instant ability to open up a communication and to have an expanded communication with more than just one person,
Right.
uh, to build a community. So what we're building is a place for creators to collaborate, fans to keep up, because like in my case, I was banned. Nobody knew why. Nobody knew where I went. Nobody
Right.
knew how to find me otherwise. Um, and it's great that you have your link tree in your bio, but if your bio is gone, they
No one
can't
can
find
find
you.
your link tree.
That's right. So Creator Aid is going to kind of bridge that gap, allow fans then to also support their favorite creators. Like if, for instance, you sign up and you get one of the accounts in your creator account, you will be giving out a link. This will be a paid site, but it's nominal. I'm charging as little as the processing company will allow me to charge. Right now, it seems like $5 is the best I can do,
Uh-huh.
and 50% of every one of those signups goes to the creator that brought them there. So $2.50, you bring 100 people, that's 2,500 bucks in your pocket, and it goes every month. So it's $5 a month, and
Residual.
whoever you bring, that residual income is yours, and it's there until they cancel their subscription. And so the idea here is then to take the other 50% and use it to build a proprietary platform that we then build bigger. Right now, the idea is if we get enough people in on beta and we raise enough money, we can take it and put it instantly into an app. And when we go app, it is 100% live.
Yeah. It's crazy to see kind of the progression of where it went, like from marketing to farming to trying to find something to do. And I think that that's one thing that a lot of people really lose sight of. It's like when something goes awry and you're not doing something else, or you're not punting, you're not recalculating, you're not moving into something else. You have the opportunity, right? You could have like, oh, well, here's a farm. I'm going to go collect unemployment and I'm just going to hang out until it's time for that to start over again, or you can do something else and build that.
I think farmers are a little different in that way too. We get really self-conscious when we're sitting around too long.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like our family's looking at us and going, "Why aren't you doing something?" Because in reality, they're not. They're like, "Oh, we're glad to have you in the house," and you're going, "This is so uncomfortable. I don't know what to do with myself. I need to get out of here and go do something
Right.
worthwhile." So you find yourself out there, picking the little bits of lint off the bottom of some random piece of equipment that
Right.
didn't even need to be cleaned, right? So you're doing that kind of stuff. But I think farmers, in that sense, we get to a point where we're like, okay, this is not productive. I don't feel good about myself. I don't want my family to see me as, lounging around, which they don't, to be
Right.
perfectly honest. But even if I hadn't been a farmer, one of the things, and it's odd that you mentioned the evolution. My evolution is actually a devolvement, if you will, because everything that I'm doing now, in some shape or form, is something that I did 20 years ago or better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the video aspect is something that spoke to me as a kid because I walked around with those, big old handheld video cameras, recording videos all the time. What's the show that's on ABC these days? I don't remember. It's
Not
it's about a
America. Not.
kid.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say not America's Funniest Home Videos. I was thinking
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, that was kind of the inspiration at the time.
right.
That was back when Bob Saget
You might
hosted
just
it.
catch something that will make you
Right,
some money.
right. But going back over those videos, of course, they were too long. I was 13 at the time and had no understanding of, story or layout or concept.
Right.
And they would babble on forever. But there were two videos that I still think about submitting to things like AFV or just posting online because I know they go viral.
Right.
One is of my family gathering one year at a lake, and my dad and my mom were reluctant participants in this video. My brother-in-laws were highly interested in being involved. And I was significantly younger than my brothers-in-law. And they had just had kids, my oldest niece and my oldest nephew, and they were a month apart. And so we created the Walker races. And literally had these two small children who were barely able to, touch the ground, trying to compete with one another. And we did a whole build up, a pre-race, and we did a race analysis, and then we did a post-race, which really went off the rails, and that was absolutely unnecessary. But the pre-race, had my parents sitting around creating these abnormal characters that you'd never see out of my parents, but it was hilarious. And looking back now, I kind of wish I could submit that. But then the other one was, and this one would be perfect for TikTok because it was a video where I was at my oldest sister's house with her family at the time, and it was Christmas time. And my grandmother, who at the time was 85 years old, there was a popular band back in those days called the Thunderbirds. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they had that song "Tough Enough."
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
And we caught my grandmother air guitaring to the fabulous Thunderbirds and "Tough Enough"
That's awesome.
with a guitar, with a tennis racket,
Uh-huh.
and she's whole on into it. Like I said, 80 plus years old at the time,
Yeah.
and it stands the test of time. It's awesome. I've really thought about submitting that. That is really good stuff.
Yeah. So you started doing some marketing stuff again. You have your nice shirt on, which I think is just hilarious. This is
Oh,
nice.
you know, can I tell you a little story about this shirt?
Sure.
This is one I was actually going to post, but I never got around to it. And I figured this is a better foray for that. I was taking my son out. And we went to Target,
Uh-huh.
and we were rolling around. It's not uncommon for people to see the front and go, "Hey, nice shirt," thinking
Right.
that's the real story here.
Yeah.
And of course, I give my offhanded comments back. Yeah, it was the only thing I had, or I'm just dressing up for the occasion, whatever the case may be. I've
Right.
got a long list of them. And this one gal goes, "Nice shirt." And I said, "Thanks." I just didn't even respond to anything more than thanks this time. And I walked by her, and I've walked by in the past, and I hear people go, "Oh," and I know what they're going, "Oh," about. But a lot of people probably don't because I don't show the back of this shirt very often.
Uh-huh.
But this one gal, and she wasn't young, but she was small. I mean, makes a beeline to me. "Oh, that's a great shirt. I get it now." And I'm smiling and laughing at her, and she's just going on and on and on about it. But I get reactions like this all the time. Not this extreme, but I get the "oh," and the reason I get it is because Wes, the back of it says the Coalition of the Decent. Can you see all that? Because
Yeah.
I'm
Uh-huh.
not flexible enough to look back.
Cost zero to be nice. Yep.
And yep, it costs nothing to be kind. And that is the for or that's the impetus to the shirt. And it's been great to do that. So yeah, I had to tell that story.
Yeah.
The gal's response was just classic. "Oh, I get it now. That's a great shirt." And I thought, now you
Yep.
get it. This is why I'm trying to push these.
Yeah. That's awesome. So we've got Creator Aid we talked about. You've got so tell us a little bit about this shirt. So do you actually make the shirts? Are you pressing them? Are you
No,
screen
no, no.
printing them?
I'm doing drop shipping.
Uh-huh.
I'm not as adventurous people like you, where I set up my own shop and host my own
I
stuff.
I don't have my own
Um,
shop, but I got a friend who does. So
right, right, and that helps. See, I grew up. My dad actually owned a screen printing business
okay.
from the early '80s, and I got involved from the design standpoint. Um, I was 12 years old, and the original Macintosh 1 came out,
Yep.
as did Adobe Illustrator 88,
Oh
which was
jeez.
really kind of weird because it wasn't 88 yet.
Yeah.
Um, and I got involved in that and creating t-shirts and everything else. So I've been doing that, the design aspect, since I was hadn't even hit my full growth spurt yet,
Yeah.
and loved it. Loved it. Dad pumped out shirts. We did all kinds of shirts, sent them all over the country. And then when I graduated, I was like, No, not doing that anymore. Moving on to bigger and better things. And so now we're doing the drop ship thing. And
Yeah.
I have not been brave enough to take on my own stock. Um, One, I've got a lot of stuff, money invested in other places.
Right.
Don't really want it invested in t-shirts. I know the business well enough to know you can get stuck with sizes that you never thought you'd get stuck with.
Right.
So this is more of a passive income.
Hmm.
I'm not really. I'm selling it. The name of it is Dogged Gears, and you can find it at doggedgears.com.
Okay.
It has everything from the nice shirts to Creative Aid merch to my personal merch, which also comes in under the moniker of the inappropriate farmer. Um, and so, there's a lot of this kind of stuff there. That's really not my focus.
Right.
It'll be nice if people like it. I certainly am willing to share it with them. And the nice shirts I do believe in. That's a
Right.
message I think everybody could really benefit from having. So, go dress up, get a nice shirt while you're at it. Go to
Right.
doggeargear.com.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like to wear. I mean, I wear this stuff that says stuff on it all the time, like bet on yourself, or
Right.
those are the things that I think break the mold. Those are things that I think of every single day, and I want to wear something that says something like that. That people used to be like, I'm always going to wear Nike. Now it's more about influencing what helping people to see that there are things like that. And if you
I
can hear my
agree.
crazy dog downstairs, I'm gonna go slap him.
I thought it was your co-host. I didn't
No,
realize.
he's so
Um,
he barks. He's a 5 pound Morkie, and he barks every time. So we'll get that edited out.
oh well, no worries. You're lucky I haven't had my 5-year-old burst in. I told him as long as the door stays closed, he has to stay out. So I'll probably go back to the house on fire, but it's fine. We're fine. Everything's
That's
fine.
I know the feeling. It's I got the 8 year
Right?
old watching the 7 month old sometimes, and it's like, uh, she's downstairs, but I'm still nervous.
Is this risky? This
Yeah,
seems risky.
yeah.
I get the feeling that yeah, you walk away going, oh, it's an adventure. Let's see.
My parents did it with me.
Right? Right?
Oh
I
man,
grew up in Gen X. We were feral, so
yeah.
it's fine.
Exactly. I am. It depends. Depends on where it says Gen X is, right? Like I'm 1980 was when I was born, so it says 1980, and some say 1980, some say 1983. It's like I'm on the cusp.
No, I'm
I'm Gen
sorry. That's
X.
all Gen X adjacent, and it qualifies you. I'm sorry, it
Yeah.
does. You saw some stuff too.
Oh yeah.
We all
No,
live
I
with the same trauma.
we lived out in the we're right now we're currently like working on building a house out in the country again because I lived out in the country. I hated it, and then I ended up living in the city as an adult, and I'm like, I want back out to the country.
It's funny how you say that because that's exactly how I live. I will not move back into the city at all. I just won't
Yeah.
do it.
I just don't like being able to like I'm this is a rental right now and it's driving me nuts. It's been that way for a year because the market in Idaho is crazy. We sold our house for double what we paid for it, but now it's trying to buy, like a lot is almost as much as the house was.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Buy the lot. The Three Little Pigs had it right. You start with your straw, make your wood, and then go to your brick when you're
yeah.
ready. I guess that's about the only thing I can figure nowadays. I feel sorry for my kids. I really do.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for sure.
It is. I'm not seeing it get better for a while, and I think people need to try to remain positive in the face of some adversity. History has a way of repeating itself. Let's just hope we've learned something so that it doesn't go as bad or as far.
Yeah, and I think as I've gotten older, and I think this is kind of the same, and I'm speaking for you, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. But like, there's things that you can control, right? And you can't control what the economy is doing, but you can control what you're doing in the face of that adversity. So,
Boom. Yes, that's the something I speak to a lot with my sensible coffee posts on TikTok and my show. In fact, uh, how much you can control is really geared towards how much you look at yourself. I think a lot of people spend a lot of their time um, being victims instead of looking at how you can affect what's going on. And I'm guilty. I always tell people I'm pointing one finger at you, but I'm pointing the rest back at me because I've lived it and
yeah,
and I continue to live it. Like the kind of a a nice little segue here. This morning I got up and I'm thinking, man, this is going to be a great day. I've got sensible coffee at 6. I'm doing the podcast with Wes at 9. I prepared well yesterday. I had all my show notes put together, and everything was good. Went through my morning routine, which oddly enough today's radio show is about my morning routine,
Right.
and so I get through my 20 and I'm done, and I'm like, let's hit this. Come into the computer. I sit down because coffee's brewing. I do this often. Take the 5 minutes and this, you know, first, second cup, doesn't matter. I take that 5 minutes and do something with it. First cup,
Right.
usually stretching. Second cup, I come in here and get the computer started and start working on what's coming up. And so I pull up everything and I'm starting to go, and then bam, your computer needs to restart. Now
Oh.
I'm thinking that's fine. It's 5:35 in the morning. My show's at 6. 25 minutes should be fine.
Yeah.
Wes, I started the damn show 10 minutes late.
I have been there.
And the whole time saying, it says 100%, you're there. And no,
Yeah.
no. So then I get back on and try to pull up my show notes.
Gone.
They didn't get saved.
Oh.
So I'm improvising this morning.
Yeah.
And that goes well. That goes really well. As apparently I was having some internet connection issues at that time, which I'm grateful we're not having.
Yeah.
And so 15 to 20-second chunks of my show were dropping out unknowingly, of course, until somebody in the associated chat room goes, is everybody else losing chunks of the show? And I'm going, so testing positivity in the midst of these things is very difficult. I shared that little soliloquy to kind of illustrate that things don't always go your way.
Yeah.
And if you get wrapped up in the bad news of it, you're more concentrated on the obstacle than you are in finding the path. And being someone in Idaho, I don't know, do you ski? Do you go over to Wyoming and ski, or swing down to Colorado to ski anytime?
I used to,
Let's just
but
assume you do.
yeah. Okay.
Let's
Go
just
for it.
assume you do. If you start skiing through trees, the fastest way to wipe out is to focus on the trees.
Exactly.
If you see the path around and through, you'll navigate with no troubles whatsoever. That's why Norwegians are so much better than Americans at alpine and
Right.
uh, cross country skiing, is because they know how to navigate the obstacles, where we're just focused on them. And I believe that kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying is, you can pivot during the course of bad news if you're focused on solutions
Right.
instead of the problem.
I have that conversation. I had that conversation with my brother yesterday. It's kind of the same thing. He's working for this company, and he's just like talking about how, well, they're doing this, and everything else worked fine before, blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, now sit back and think about this. When you go to complain to them, are you coming to them with a solution that would hopefully fix that for you? Or are you just complaining? Because that comes across as you're ungrateful. And we know you're not ungrateful, but have a solution to every problem that you have before you go, and because that means you thought about it. That means you went through the process.
The other part of that, of course, is 50% comes from recognizing the problem, but then presenting it as a challenge. And if you present it as a problem, again, you're focused on the obstacle. If you present it as a challenge, I see this and this and this is your challenge.
Yeah.
You then are already suggesting there needs to be a solution. And you're 50% there with that. And and to further emphasize what you're saying, if you come at somebody with a solution, you're now not just worthy, but you are what's the word I'm looking for? You're genuinely invested at
Yeah.
that point, and they can tell, and they're going to take that and go further. So, yeah, you're right. Your brother probably wasn't presenting it right, and it's fine to be emotional,
Right.
but we can't stay victims.
Yep. Exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's just like you're talking about, as you're talking about skiing, I'm thinking about golfing, like ending up behind a tree and trying to get to the green. The whole goal is to get to the green. So if you're staring at the tree or the sand traps around the green, of course you're going to hit it there. Find a way around it.
Exactly. Or in my case, you're just going to hit it wherever the hell it goes and follow it
Right.
anyway. So
But if
I
you go
putt
in
for dough,
there,
but I swing for the fences, boy.
yeah. The problem is if you go in there thinking that's the whole thing with that game for me. It's like I'm never going in there thinking I'm going to slice it. I will slice it, but I'm not going in off the driving range thinking I'm going to slice it. I'm thinking I'm going to put this thing right there and go for the next one, you know. And
You sound like you have a hell of a game. I'll drive your cart. It
no,
sounds like we'll
I'm
get
I'm
done with the
terrible.
course faster.
I'm terrible.
Don't drive for me. We will be there for hours, mostly looking for balls.
Yeah. Wolf, it's been awesome talking to you, and I feel like we could just go on for hours. I mean, I think that there's so much, there's so many good things that you're doing. I really appreciate you just coming on here and talking to me, because this is. I know yesterday we were a little nervous about what it was going to be, but this is it. I want people to see that no matter what, there's a way. You can find it no matter what it is. You can, in your case, you're a farmer, you're a marketer, you've done all these things, but you've always had the move forward mentality, not the what can someone else do for me, sidestepping, giving up. Because I think that, again, the only time you fail is when you proceed to stop trying. That's all there is to it.
I agree. I agree. But I'm going to really put a hole in your argument there because I'm also going to say you can do for me by appearing on my show, and we can go through those details
Oh, I'd love to.
when we
I
complete this one.
always like to talk. I think we're on the same page here.
That's say we're going to be great. That could be a lost hour in and of itself.
Exactly.
Wes, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm grateful that you extended it to me. It's been a pleasure, and yes, it's been quite comfortable. And Pops has been worried about it because he's concerned about doing that sort of thing. Did you lose my audio?
No,
I
I
just heard
got
a
you. I
beep.
got you. You're still there.
Okay. Um, Pops is worried, but I'm going to assure him
He
it'll be
doesn't need to
fine.
be worried.
Wes
That's the
gotcha.
thing. I've gotten to this point where I've decided that if someone asks me to do an interview and I look at them and they're halfway got a pulse, I'm going to say yes because and like with Pops, it's not a big deal because the guy can talk. He's got very good things for people to double checking. He's
Yeah, I think it's there.
it's an inspirational thing. I have a story that like if and you can go back and you can watch other videos, but that there's these things that I've done. Like I was a tire mechanic. I changed tires for 11 years. I went back to school and I got 2 degrees in
I
education.
didn't
I
know that.
taught
Okay.
for 4 years. I quit that because it wasn't fulfilling, and now I'm selling window coverings and doing this, which is still kind of teaching in its own. It's just in a different way. So
Yeah, yeah, I think, you're right as well. Move forward.
yeah,
And I think Pops is a great interview. I
yeah.
had him on The Harvest last week, and I got to tell you, the man has faced some stuff.
Oh
And
yeah,
and for him to have his positivity, he's inspirational all by himself.
man. That's
I encourage whoever's watching this to make sure you tune in for when Wes interviews him because
yeah, because he
Pops is
needs
a
to just
he's
do it.
amazing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I have these people I told you about. Like there's a couple people. Nikki's one of them. I have a friend named AJ, Ashley Kaywood. Those people like are completely people who it doesn't matter. That's what shaping success is about. It doesn't matter what you do. It's are you successful in doing it. And Pop's a diesel mechanic, but he has a story of why he got there, and he has a reason of why he's trying to build other people up. And I
That's
just
right.
love that. I love it. It's the same thing with you.
And the blessing of his family to do all this. That in and of itself is another really great story about Pops. And it all ties together. And I think you're going to have an amazing time talking to Pops. Now that I've burst his online bubble.
Yeah,
That wasn't what I was going to say, but I
I
try
know.
and keep it
I knew where you were
PC.
going. You're good.
Yeah, I don't like to be edited, so I'll
Yeah,
edit
go for
myself
it.
in the moment. He's probably going to be way more comfortable, and you did a better job of telling me what I needed to do to be prepared for your show than I did to him. So
Yeah,
he's probably going to like you a lot better after all this is said and done. But he's my arch nemesis on TikTok
yeah,
anyway, so we're fine. We're fine.
yeah. Well, I'll make
Wes,
sure,
thank you.
you mentioned all the places where we can find you and everything. I'll have, if you don't mind, just send me an email. I'll make sure I put it all in the show notes. We'll get all your social media stuff on there and so people can find you. And, you know, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I'll actually just send you the link tree. It'll probably be easier.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it. We love those link
Thanks, my
trees.
friend.
All right. Thank you very much. Hey, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. This is the end of the show. Until next time, I challenge you to find the shape of your success.